So I went home to AK on a detail, and just to explain what that detail is that between Region 1 and Region 10 we have an agreement where we send 2 round jumpers who jump the FS-14, the round canopy. We kick them up north to the BLM base every year on typically a 2-month detail, so that way we can keep their spotters refreshed on how to spot us out the door. So I was one of the really lucky ones that got to go, and it was good for me because I was always giddy. I was like, oh, I've never jumped my home state. I always wanted to, and so I got to do it. And the very first fire jump in my home state was one to remember. I tell you what. So yeah, no shit. There I was in an airplane, and we were flying out to reinforce a fire. They already jumped 8 jumpers on it, and I was on the second load going out that way. And it was typically, I think by the time we got there, it was a couple thousand acres and going. And we decided to jump on the sandbar next to the 70 Mile River, was the designated jump spot. Whether it was really confirmed, whether that was really the jump spot, who knows? It was when I got out the door, because I went out first, me and my jump partner, and it was the sandbar. And but things don't always go as planned. As we're circling it, we're throwing streamers, and streamers are the wind indicators and kind of what we're going to be looking like in the air. And we kick the streamers, and it looks good. It doesn't look bad. Spotter saying 50 yards adrift, which is really minimal for us rounds. And but lo and behold, a wind shift happened, an unexpected one. So the smoke started rolling into the jump spot from the fire, and it was still safe, but the wind shifted really unexpectedly, and we still got kicked out. And getting kicked out, the jump spot was hazy. You could still see it. And, I'm coming in on final. I got my jump partner in sight, and I'm like, okay, I got this. I held out a little long just because, I wanted to make sure you got in there. But I was set up perfect. Where I was going to set up to land was perfect. But then all of a sudden at 200 feet AGL above ground level, the wind literally did shift. I don't know if it was the winds coming off the confluence of the river or coming off that fire. And it just, I was so set up perfectly to land where I wanted to. And then all of a sudden this wind shift happened, and it just started pushing me backwards. And I'm like, I'm running out of real estate looking behind me. I'm like, oh shit, this is bad. And I'm on a sandbar, so how much real estate do you really have? And so I ran out of real estate, and I landed in 3 inches, thank God. I landed in 3 inches of water, right close to the bank, and I did a PLF into the bank. And then the wind was still blowing, like completely, 180 of where we were let out. It was taking my chute, so blew my chute into the river, and I'm like, oh, this isn't good. And I'm like crawling onto the bank, trying not to get dragged down. I'm literally like getting dragged down the bank, and I'm like screaming to my JP. I'm like, yo, dude, I'm in the effing water. I'm getting dragged down this flipping sandbar, and finally, oh, thank God for rookie training. Just your training comes back to you. Like I just, heard one of my trainers in the back of my brain, Bob Bente actually, and he's like, just remember your training. Like, so I popped the cape wells, got rid of the chute. At that point, it was either the chute or me that was gonna get dragged down this river. And so I let it go, and I just like watch it float to its demise, and I'm like, ah, shit. And so, JP's running over there. I'm like, I'm fine. I'll go get the chute myself. Go help the next person, because the next person who jumped actually landed in the river. So it was one of those jumps where it's just, you deal with it. This is why we're saying you just deal with it. You roll with it. It was hilarious. And then, so there I am, just like frantically stripping down off my jump gear and running down this bank. Just, oh my God, bushwhacking through frickin' spruce trying to get my chute, and before you know it, it was gone. long gone. And it was hilarious. I mean, at that point, you're just like, what are you going to do? But this is the best part. We were on that fire for 9 days, and lo and behold, I kid you not, 9 days later, an AK jumper found it in the river. Just torn to pieces. But you know what? I'd rather go home with a busted shoot than not go home with a shoot at all. So I totally hooked him up. I was like, I totally owe you. And that was that. And that was my first fire jump in Alaska. So I was just really happy to still be alive after that one. But it wasn't as bad but it was just funny. I can't believe it still happened. I'm like, yeah, that happened. So. That's it.